Good evening, friends. Welcome to a special live stream. There was some breaking news today that is very much in my, we'll say, genre of theme park coverage, something that I actually talked about in 2023. And we're going to get into it today. We're going to do like a live video recording. And I'm excited to talk about this and kind of give you some different theories and some different ideas of where this news could go and how it could play into a much, much larger picture of what's happening with Disneyland Forward, as well as the city of Anaheim. So let's jump in, shall we? I hate when I accidentally say that. Damn it. All right. Let's jump in. I want to thank everybody who's here with me live watching this. I will be taking some questions, but I want to make sure that anybody that watches this not live can kind of jump in and get the gist of what we're talking about. So it was revealed today, some news. We're going to start with what was revealed. Then we're going to go into what we know. And then we're going to kind of look into the crystal ball. We're going to try to put all these pieces together. But this is what we know. It came out today that the city of Anaheim is considering aerial gondola system with potential Disneyland stop. This is big news, but it's not entirely new news, as you'll hear as we go on. New public records from the city of Anaheim have revealed that officials are looking into a possible aerial gondola system that would help tourists, transportation, including a potential stop near the Disneyland Resort. So essentially what they want to do, according to the Anaheim investigator, which figured out that this report was done by the city of Anaheim, they gained access to internal emails, the Anaheim investigator, and presentations from the city through Public Records Act. These records reportedly revealed that city planners are exploring the option of constructing an aerial gondola system to connect the Platinum Triangle with the Anaheim Resort. What's the Platinum Triangle, you ask? That's a great question. The Platinum Triangle is the area within the Anaheim area that surrounds Angel Stadium, Honda Center, and the Grove of Anaheim. So Disneyland would be on the far part of that. So here's what we're looking at. They want to find a way, as they're putting in OC Vibe, to get people from Honda Center, which is the home of OC Vibe, over to the Grove area, and then to Angel Stadium. That's kind of like the big triangle of non-Disney entertainment at Anaheim. But unfortunately, on the other side of the highway or freeway, I'm from the East Coast and people get mad at me when I say it wrong. But unfortunately, on the other side of a major traffic thoroughfare is where the convention center lies, as well as the Disneyland Resort. So you have two pieces west of the highway, and you have three pieces east of the highway. The idea is to bring all of these together. And the idea is to do it fast in time for the 2028 Summer Olympics that will be happening here in Southern California. Some Olympics activities are literally happening like 4 blocks from my house. So it's going to get very, very wild. The report specifically links the investigation into potential gondola system as a reaction to the anticipated crowds for the 2028 Summer Olympics, which are set to be hosted in Los Angeles and as well Orange County. The Honda Center in particular is going to be the venue for indoor volleyball events. So that is what we know. And there were some images that kind of came along with it. This is an image of what one of the turnaround spots would look like in OC Vibe. Over to the left, that bubble that you can see, that is the train station that's over next to the Honda Center. And then as you look further down, it appears that it looks like there's monorails in this image, or maybe it's more Skyliners, but that's going to be, I'm assuming, parts of OC Vibe, which is going to be a massive entertainment complex that will be built all around the footprint of the Honda Center. Currently, they're in the finishing stages of a major parking garage. Once that's done, then they can start removing the Honda Center's parking lot. And then they will go on to the next phase where they'll start putting in entertainment spaces, shopping spaces, as well as arts centers, housing. Like, it's going to be a for real cultural hub for the city of Anaheim. OC Vibe is its name. This is another image that we see of the gondolas going right past Garden Walk, going down Catella, which is a path that I had talked about a couple of years ago when I saw another image that we're going to look at in our slideshow. So essentially, this is what we're talking about. Over on the far right, you have where you can see it all starts over at the Honda Center above me. Then we can see Angel Stadium, the Grove, going over the highway, making our way over to the Disneyland Resort. With little bubbles at the convention center, a little bubble at the edge of where the Garden Walk is, and then over to where the new parking garage will be, and then over to the Esplanade. This has a budget of $37 million. Not that bad. And then here is the other idea, a Catella Phase 1 concept alignment. This would be 3.8 miles of infrastructure. Again, starting over at OC Vibe, working our way around the triangle, and then basically just going straight over to Garden Walk, just cruising down Catella. We would have gondolas. Now, the reason why I did a video about this going back to 2023 is I saw this when I poured over the Disneyland Forward proposal that they gave to the city of Anaheim, which has been absolutely approved. So in there, they gave ideas of transportation that they might add to get guests back and forth from the new parking garage and from what I would believe would be future destinations. So they had this little ditty in there, and then they had this little ditty in there to the delight of many guests, hoping not only for the return of a people mover inside of the Disneyland Resort, but a functional people mover, actually moving people from one destination to another, being used as a real world transportation system. So once I saw that, I kind of created this map of showing how a Skyliner could actually go through the heart of the park in the way that you can't expand the monorail. I also showed how it could go down Harbor and as well as Catella. This was kind of a part of a video that I did just to kind of give you an idea of what we talked about. So let's do this. This is what we know. City of Anaheim is seriously looking at putting gondolas in the city. They're looking at a new form of public transportation to get guests from 3 major destinations over to another 2. That's what their goal is. What is OC Vibe's intent? OC Vibe's intent, in my estimation, is to become a cultural center for Orange County, to really be a hub of activity as far as entertainment, shopping, and the arts go, as well as some living spaces over there. They really want to drive home that this could be like a huge cultural footprint for the city. So this is where it gets into something interesting. Think about this. You can definitely understand why the city of Anaheim would want to get people from Disneyland over to their new mega mall. It makes sense. Disneyland brings in tens of thousands of people every single day. You want to get them over there. You can also understand why they would want to connect the convention center. Tons of people come in from out of town to the convention center. Many of them fly into town. They don't want to rent a car. They take an Uber or bus shuttle to their hotel, and they stay in that little bubble. Getting on the other side of the highway is no easy task. But if you could easily get on a 6-minute ride that would take you through the sky, give you amazing views, and then take you over to a Ducks game, an Angels game, or to go to the new shopping plaza, that would be a great way to redistribute people, but also to redistribute income all throughout Anaheim. But let's talk about the future of the Garden Walk, because would the city of Anaheim be really excited to take people from this new shopping plaza that they've got a lot of money invested into, to take them over to kind of a dead mall that they don't have much investment in? Let's talk about the future of the Toy Story parking lot. Now, the Toy Story parking lot, many believe, because they've looked at the artist renderings and they think that's the gospel, that, oh, Disney's just going to make it like Disney Springs, a shopping complex, maybe a little bit of off-the-shelf entertainment, but most likely shopping. Let's look into the crystal ball. Let's put all these pieces together. Why would the city of Anaheim be willing to spend $37 million or more into taking people from their shopping center that they're putting tons of city money into and dumping them over to 2 private shopping districts? Why would the city of Anaheim want to do this? Ask yourself logically. The Toy Story parking lot so far has been shown as a shopping area. But if you read the Disneyland Forward proposal, and I have, it's zoned now as theme park space. But Disney hasn't shown their hand. They don't want to get people excited about a third gate. They're just like, oh, we're just going to do like a Disney Springs. And that makes sense. Don't get people too excited. Don't get people counting their chickens before they hatch. Don't get a rumor going that Disney's going to build a third park, because many families will go, we won't do our vacation to Disneyland. We'll go to Walt Disney World. We'll go someplace else. We'll wait till they get done with that third park. This third park could literally be in the 40s, if not the later part of the 30s, maybe even 2055. This could be the 100th anniversary year of Disneyland when this new attraction opens. But let's think about this. Disney obviously has off-the-record conversations with the city of Anaheim. It's just how business works. It's a very, very realistic scenario. If the city of Anaheim knew that Disneyland was going to use their last big chess piece, or just last big play on the board, to convert Toy Story parking lot into their third and final theme park, using all of the space that they have on the eastern side of Harbor as a giant parking garage. Bottom level for transportation, one level for cast members, the other level for the guests. They could easily replicate all the parking they have now in a parking superstructure. With a couple of adjustments allowing guests to go down to Harbor, the local businesses don't feel like they've been circumvented. Also, everybody learned a very valuable lesson. When there was no Disneyland for 440 days, guess who was having a hard time? The city of Anaheim and all of its smaller businesses. Disneyland now has a new leverage after the city got to see what a year without Disneyland felt like financially. So I find it hard to believe that the Disney Corporation is going to take their last piece of land and they're going to build a mall. And they're going to build a mall next to somebody else's mall. Because historically, Disney doesn't like to hook up other businesses. They like to come in, stack the deck in their favor, and do what they do better than most. Make a lot of money and make it off of tourists and vacationers. So the idea that Disney is going to build a mall next to the Garden Walk, I don't believe it. The idea that they're going to build a mall across from OC Vibe where there's going to be a world-class entertainment complex, I don't believe it. Because Disney is in the business of selling hotel rooms. Malls don't sell hotel rooms, but theme parks do. Now, people will say Disney should have bought Garden Walk when they had the chance. And to them, I would say, why? If you're not ready for something, it's not a deal. Holding on to Garden Walk for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it's not a deal if you have to actually own it, keep up with the maintenance, and do everything you need to do. It's a deal when you swoop in at the 11th hour. When you're ready for it, maybe you pay more, but you buy it when you need it. I full on believe at some moment the Garden Walk will be owned by the Disney Corporation. I believe that the Toy Story parking lot will become a theme park. When you combine the two of them, you have a footprint of land that's very similar in size to the Disneyland itself. Bigger than DCA, a huge park. So now let's think about it. Why would the city of Anaheim be willing to put in a Skyway? Sure, we've talked about the convention center, but 3 theme parks, 3 Disney theme parks that will bring in families from all around the world, just like they have done for the last 7 decades. That's the way you get people over to your world-class entertainment space, and you make it easy. And if Disneyland was already thinking about adding in some sort of transportation system, Maybe it's a way to bridge the gap and make it happen faster and to get a little bit of input from your biggest partner. Because when Disney sees the opportunity for people that come to town to see the Ducks play or Angels play, staying in a hotel on the other side of the freeway that didn't buy a rental car and are looking for an affordable way to pop over to Disney for some shopping or some entertainment, starts to make the city of Anaheim work very, very well together. I believe that the city of Anaheim knows what Disney's 30-year plan is. And I believe Disneyland Forward was a way to get the community on the same page for what this future vision is. And I believe that once the city of Anaheim caught wind of what Disneyland was planning, they said, you know what they don't have room for on the West Coast? Disney Springs. You know who could build it? We could. The city of Anaheim could build OC Vibe with private investors, and they could have the Disney Springs of the West be owned by the people. Use the parks to bring in the population, use the city and its funds and its resources with private owners to build what is going to be the number one shopping destination in this area. The fact that Disney was already looking at putting this transportation in, and the fact that we now know that the city of Anaheim is doing this, to me, this says the pieces are all coming together. The pieces are all in play. And that this prediction that I have is starting to look more and more realistic every single day. There's not been a piece of news yet that has pushed me in a different direction. And when that news shows up, I'll say, I got it wrong. But for right now, it's not about getting it right. For right now, it's about looking into the future and thinking about the possibilities and thinking about them objectively on why, oh, why would Disney build a mall to compete with a world-class culture center that's happening on the other side of the highway? And why would Anaheim want to get people back and forth unless all of the pieces in the puzzle work together? On the east side of the highway, you have two world-class sporting stadiums that can handle not only the Angels and the Ducks, but concerts and different events of that magnitude that can come in off the road. WWE, Taylor Swift, like that type of thing can happen on the east side. But over on the west, you have the convention center that brings people in from all around the country with expendable income. And you have the Disneyland Resort that brings people in from around the globe. Putting this together unites Anaheim in a way where you get a little something different on each side of the highway, but you get an experience that is uniquely Anaheim, making it very easy to get around the city, to not have to rent a car, to not have to get in an Uber, to not have to wait for a delayed theme park bus or shuttle bus, but an efficient way to get around Anaheim. And that efficiency creates profitability. So when I saw this today, it wasn't like I was like blown away or surprised. It was more like, yeah, it's happening and it's starting to happen now. I will be shocked if this doesn't happen. If the city of Anaheim, its private businesses, and Disneyland don't work together to make this happen, they are all truly idiots that deserve the consequences of having a city that is very hard for people to get around. But if they build it and they unite it, they will reap the benefits of a united Anaheim and all of its amazing entertainment offerings. Those are my thoughts. That's what I wanted to go live and share. I will now take questions and comments from the people that are here with me live. But if you showed up in a delay and watched this, I hope you enjoyed this breaking news. It was so breaking that I had to call in the doctor off the bench and have a little Dr. Pepper. Thank you for watching. I look forward to your comments below. I may not be right. I may be wrong. But I'm excited. And hopefully you are too. So Corey says, how much would they charge for the Skyliner to use? That gets into an interesting question because the Skyliner at Walt Disney World is open, free to use, but it's inside of the Walt Disney World bubble. So there's a couple of problems with the free Skyliner. If you have a free Skyliner, certain people in Anaheim, and there's plenty of them that you see at the bus stops, will use this as a bathroom in the sky. So either the Skyliner needs to be inside of security checkpoints where you've already gone through security to go to OC Vibe, or you've already gone through security to be in the premises of these different places. So there's been a security screening that kind of lets everybody know that you not deserve, that's a bad word to say, but you are of right state of mind to be in the theme parks or in one of these entertainment complexes. If that's the way it's connected, it will be free. But if it does cost money, it would be a nominal fee. But really, whatever it costs to operate this per year, the city of Anaheim should be willing to put together money for it. The different businesses should be willing to chip in. This should be a free service because all this is going to do is make everybody a lot more money. Because right now, the one thing Anaheim has going against it is all the pieces don't touch. And it's very hard and cumbersome to get from point A to point chimpanzee. So making that easier is a benefit and a plus for all parties involved. But that's a great question. AP Adventure says, what about a monorail system going down Catella? Would that be feasible? I don't think so. I mean, would it be possible? Yes. But keep in mind, editing the monorail brings the monorail up to current standards and current codes, which right now it is not in some instances. Bringing the monorail also out of the parks would definitely affect Disneyland. Keep in mind that the monorail out of Walt Disney World, it isn't a ride, it's real transportation. The monorail stops are outside of Epcot or at TTC if you're going to Magic Kingdom or at the different hotels. It doesn't ever go into a theme park. The monorail here is not transportation. It looks like it, but it's not. It's a theme park ride. So if you had a monorail that had to stop in DCA or on a public street, it would become a logistical nightmare of one cart for people that are just going to ride through Disneyland, another cart of people that could get dropped off here. The fact that the monorail is a theme park attraction, I think makes it very, very difficult. Not impossible, but extremely difficult. This is way more affordable, could do a very high capacity, because just like, a dark ride, this thing is constant movement. Trains need to pull up to a station, unload, load, and pull off. They also need to wait for the next train to go across a certain amount of block lines before they can pull out. Skyliner just basically keeps cruising. If there's a momentary delay because somebody's having a hard time getting out, medical emergency, or just a guest needs a little bit more time, the whole system just kind of halts and then it takes right back off to where it's going. It's not the same with the train. Great question. Somebody said, what about volume after events? Okay, yeah, that's a great point. You got a ton of people that are like, hey man, Ducks just won, we're on a high, let's go to Disneyland and celebrate. Yeah, that would be a high volume of people, but the line just backs up. And then people have to decide, do we want to wait in that line or not? Like at the end of the night when Epcot's letting out, keep in mind, Epcot holds tens of thousands of people. When it's letting out, there becomes a very, very long line for the Skyliner. And then you just kind of see people being like, I don't know, let's just go take an Uber, or let's go do this, or let's go do that. Then there's other people like, this is our only mode of transportation. We're going to wait in the line. But even when I have seen the Skyliner line at the end of the night at Epcot go all the way over to Boardwalk, you still never wait more than like 10 or 15 minutes. That thing is a people eater. I believe each one of those carts can do 8 to 10 adults, which is a lot of people when you're doing 8 to 10, like every minute. These things are incredibly efficient and affordable. H John says he should have done it a long time ago. I agree, but at least they're thinking about doing it now, so I'm not going to poo-poo it too hard. Somebody just wrote 4,500 per hour is the capacity on one of these. If that is true, it's a decent amount of folks. Not a full stadium full of people. Like, I'm assuming that Honda Center, because it's a hockey arena, is somewhere between 10 and 15,000 people. So technically, it would take 3 hours for everybody there to get on it. I doubt that everybody would be going to the same destination. But if you think about a hockey game, if a third of those people all left at once and all wanted to go someplace, and one guest might get on right away and one guest might have to wait an hour, I mean, I don't know. I guess the person at the end of the line would have some decisions to make. But everybody from the middle of the line on, it's like, oh, we had to wait 30 minutes. It was still easier. We got to hang here inside of this bubble and go over there and not have to get in a car. All right, so let's see here. A couple more questions, then we'll call it a stream. Vegas Disney RTV says, is a gondola a fairly quick build? Yes. So here's how you build a gondola system. You have to put in essentially like telephone poles that hold the cord, but also mechanical systems that make the gondola cable go by. So you have to build those periodically. The cool thing about Anaheim being so ready for this is that Catella is already an over-exaggerated road with a big median in most areas. So there's already the footprint to do this. Also, running it up Harbor, when we're looking at this from a Disneyland perspective, Harbor has a generous median in the middle as well. So the actual running on the roads is pretty easy. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to shut the roads down. You're gonna have to do some concrete work and all that type of stuff. So it's not like you can do it in an afternoon. But as far as transportation goes, that part's pretty easy. Now, what a gondola system needs is it needs these hubs where people get on, and it also needs a certain kind of hub where turns happen. So a turn from Catella to Harbor would mean there would have to be sort of a rig where it can make this like hard turn. Can't do that in the middle of the intersection, so they might have to like shy it off one way or the other, or there could end up being a hard station at like Harbor and Catella where you would just get off and get on another one. That part would be to be determined. Like, I don't know, maybe they take out that 7-Eleven on the corner or that shopping plaza on the east corner. I don't think off the top of my head that you can do a hard right angle in the middle of a public intersection, especially an intersection as big as that one. But it is, as far as public transportation goes, it's a relatively affordable and easy build when you consider like trains require a lot more track and stations, and they need more room to make their turns. And going underground and doing a subway, that's not realistic for several different reasons. It's hard to do underground structures here in California. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of getting things approved. And I mean, the cost per foot is, I don't know how many X of a gondola, but maybe 10 or more X. James Brown, thank you so much for our first super chat tonight. I appreciate that. He said, I missed yesterday's live. Glad to catch this. Love the unexpected breaking news. Yeah, I was in the middle of working on a vlog for today. I've had a very busy day at work today. I was working on a vlog I was going to get up, and then I just was looking at the time. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to wait till Saturday to talk about this on Hey Brickey. I want to go live and talk about it right now. David Gallo, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. Not the 7-Eleven. Somebody save the 7-Eleven. Let's see. A couple more questions, then we'll call it. What about the challenge of going over the freeway? That won't be that big of a challenge because the freeway, again, has a generous median in it. So you put a tower on the, far east, far west, something in the middle, and you have people just cruising over it. Now, I know that it sounds like scary that we're riding in a bucket over the top of people that are going, 50 to 75 miles per hour. But gondolas are a very safe mode of transportation. There's a lot of safe falls to make sure that, the worst doesn't happen. It would be interesting to do some research on like the most tragic gondola accidents and how often they happen. Now, the way that a gondola works, if it breaks down, so you're like, well, what if it breaks down and I get stuck over the highway? Would they have to shut the highway to get me out? No. When a gondola system breaks down, They have a mode where basically like manually or through a separate like generated power, they would stop the overall line. They wouldn't let anybody get on. And then they would manually or through an assisted generator, they bring the line into the station. So like me and you were like hanging out over the highway, it stops. We try not to panic. And what they might have to do is just manually pull everybody in. But it's not like getting stuck on a roller coaster where they have to come out with a ladder and pull you off. Like, I think that would be pretty difficult. But who knows? Maybe when the gondola goes over the highway, they might create some sort of an overpass system or some sort of a canopy. So if there was to be any sort of incident where a gondola would come disembarked, it would fall on a canopy or an overpass instead of just plopping right down on the highway, which would be obviously tragic for drivers and gondolers. So yeah, good question. I love all the creativity here. I love the people that are defending the 7-Eleven. You guys are my dogs. I love it. Yes, I mean you can't load gondola like somebody says, but even if you load multiple cars at a time, you need to allow 10 seconds between launches. Yeah, but think about how long it takes to load a train. A train comes in and stops, everybody gets off, some guests can get off faster than others. Everybody has to load in. Like, I just feel like the gondola is like you're waiting in line. How many in your party? 6? Here. And they just keep moving. They just keep cruising. It's like the Haunted Mansion. Just boom, 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 boom. You go right through. Yeah, I guess it's a fun place to smoke a joint. I don't know. I've never smoked a joint, so I'm going to have to take your word on that one. Moby says, I traveled on a cable car that was 571 feet over the ocean. I was scared to death. I can handle over a freeway. I love that. I love that. All right, let's take a couple of more and then we will call it a day here. What are your thoughts about the garden walk stop rendering? It looks like there might be a choose your own stop kind of system, slightly similar to the Las Vegas Tesla tunnel system. So they do have these little bubbles here. And any bubble that's on the passageway, the way that that would work, I'm assuming, because you can't split a gondola line, it's a continuous cable. That's what makes it work. But what you can do is you can let them roll up slowly and they go, you get enough? Nah, man, we're going to Disneyland. And you just keep riding through. The gondola system at Walt Disney World, for an example, it starts straight at Pop Century. And you roll all the way straight until you get to, forgive me, the name of the hotel. I've stayed there before. The Riviera. So when you get to the Riviera, you have your first hard right angle turn. You make a hard left. So when you go through that station, they just ask you, getting off or you continue into Epcot? No, we're staying on. And you just stay on. If you're getting off at the Riviera, you get off there. And then you make that hard left turn. And then you're on your way to where you make a hard right turn. And then that sends you over to Epcot. So any of these little dots up here that are on a straightaway path, it would just be a slow roll. Doors open, you on or you off, and then the doors close and you just keep cruising on down the line. Where it gets tricky is this hard left and hard right that's going up and down Harbor. That would have to be some sort of a station there that figures it out. Or who knows, maybe it's a continuous loop station or line where carts going down the eastern side of Harbor go all the way up to Disney. It makes its roundabout there. So hear me out here. To make it to the convention center, you would roll through Garden Walk. You would take a forced right going up Harbor. Then when you got to Disneyland, the carts make a U-turn, and then that would bring you back down Harbor, and then it would take you over to the convention center. So it would be a continuous loop where you would start or stop at Honda Center or Convention Center, regardless of where you got on. That would be the loop because there's really no choose your own adventure. Great question. This is why I love you guys. Brickey, what do you think about the second Walt animatronic coming to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World? I talked about it on last night's stream. I'm very excited. Walt Disney coming to the Carousel of Progress means A, Carousel of Progress is going to stay a little bit longer. B, it means they're investing money into Tomorrowland in the heritage version of Tomorrowland. And I'm all for Disney telling one of the greatest stories and leaning on one of the best IPs they own, their own story. That's the abbreviated version. I talked about it in more detail last night's stream. Check it out. Ted says, what is the advantage of this loop? Well, the advantage of a loop is that it's a continuous transportation system. You can't like make a left or a right because it all has to go in one system. So yeah, if you're going to the convention center, you would have to go to Disney and come back. But these things do move pretty fast. Like they're looking at 6 stations, 2 future stations, 5-minute ride is what they're looking at to cover 3.8 miles. So a 5-minute ride up in the sky, getting beautiful views. I mean, this thing's going to be loaded on nights when Angels and Disneyland has fireworks going off at the same time. It's going to be great. Doggone Van Life. Thank you for the super chat. Disney buy hotels next to increased third gate area. So I wouldn't be surprised if and when the Toy Story parking lot becomes a theme park. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those exterior businesses get absorbed by Disney. I definitely would not be surprised if, I'm predicting the Garden Walk will be owned by them. But if they get Garden Walk, so the way that it stands right now, if they only get the Toy Story parking lot, if they only get what they have, you're looking at a theme park that's slightly smaller than DCA. All right. But keep in mind that DCA was built under different zoning laws, and that with Disneyland Forward and how they're able to do multi-use space, it could be a bigger theme park, even though it's slightly smaller because of the different types of zoning and technology we have now for construction. But if they get the Garden Walk, it rivals Disneyland in its size. So yeah, I think they're going to get the Garden Walk. Obviously, they would love to get some of those hotels that are on the outer perimeter. But if they don't, I don't think that it'll be a deal breaker. And I'm sure those companies will be asking for a mint, but Disney would also be smart to pay it. This is the best comment of the night. James Brown says, I hope they have swinging gondola options like the Mickey Fun Wheel. I love you guys. I love you guys. You're just a bunch of maniacs, and I love it. I can't tell if ZZYZX's comment is spam or not. But he paid $5, so I'll let him spam me for $5. Check out Whoosh Solutions. There's some really neat info about the proposed system. Found them looking up Whoosh Concept Mint. All right. Whoosh Solutions. Check it out. All right, friends. I don't think they're going to do a drop tower option. You guys are the best. No, Mickey's Fun Wheel won't have the same spirit if they put the swinging gondolas on the gondola. Hear me out. What if it's a double decker and the bottom level is for people that just want to go regular style, but the top is just swinging and they just rock you the whole time, the entire 5 minutes from Honda Center to Disneyland to the convention center, you're just swinging the entire time. I love it. I love the idea of gondola bunk beds. All right. We have officially reached the end of this conversation if we're talking about gondola bunk beds. Thank you so much for showing up to the live breaking news. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like this done in further detail over on the main channel where I could show you some B-roll, make some maps, kind of give you an idea of how it would work. I feel like we covered it pretty well here, but if you would like to see a more in-depth video, let me know in the comments below. I want to thank my super chatters. I want to thank my Magic Brickey holders, my channel members. And I want to thank everybody that showed up to see this live. Holy shit, there's 350 people here. I would have done better if I knew there were so many. Have a great night. I appreciate you all. Thanks for showing up. I hope you're as equally excited as I am. Leave some comments below. Tell me your ideas, your thoughts, and I'll help mold those into a more evergreen video over on the main channel. Hey, Brickey, if you want me to go into this more detail. Scruff Skunk, all hail the smudge. The smudge is still on the wall. Long live the smudge. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.